Just so we're clear, the things that you're going to talk about with doing the robberies with Thor, this isn't a part of the gang in LG, correct? This is just you and Thor?
Just me and Thor.
All right. So you impersonated police officers. How did you do that?
I had a chain with a small thing that looked like a badge tacked onto it. And we'd have long flashlights. And from Radio Shack, I purchased the globe light. Whatever that is, siren or whatever. And we had also a huge spotlight as well.
What did you do?
We would target people coming out of also the hip-hop nightclubs, because they would come out with the fanciest jewelry. And wait for them to get in their cars, and then we'd follow them and pull them over somewhere. I would first approach the driver's side window and ask the guy for his license and registration, and then I'd take that and go back to my car and fumble around like, I'm running his information for like 2-3 minutes. And then we'd get out of the car and approach his vehicle again, tell him to get out of his car and put his hands out, and then I'd arrest him, handcuff him, put him into our car.
You had handcuffs?
Yeah.
You'd put him into your car?
Yeah. And he'd be like, "What's going on?" I said, "Well, I don't know. You tell me. There's a warrant out for your arrest." And we would take them out to an industrial area of Brooklyn and, by that time we had stripped off his jewelry and his money, and we just let him loose over there. We'd uncuff him.
Okay. How many times approximately did you do this?
3, 4, 3.
Did you also impersonate police officers with prostitutes?
Yes.
Can you explain how you did that?
Yeah. There was areas in Brooklyn where, they had lots of prostitution.
Where you could find prostitutes?
Yeah. Every weekend there would be a lot of prostitutes walking around with their pimps. So we would drive up.
Who is we?
Me and Thor. And I would say, "Hey, listen, we'd see one that we'd like, and we'd drive up to her, and we'd say, 'Listen, my lieutenant is, telling me to clean it up over here tonight. I can't have you guys out here. I'm sorry. Don't make me look bad because he is driving around too. So when I drive back around, I better not see you out here, or I'm going to have to make an example and take you in.' So, I would leave and I'd drive around a couple of blocks and come back around and, if the person would still be there, we'd say, 'Okay, listen, don't make us have to jump out and arrest you crazy here. Just get in the back. You know how this works. Assuming they had been arrested before for the same thing. So they get in the back and we'd be driving. It usually would be a Friday night when we do this because then it would work. Whatever. Basically, this is what I'd say. It's Friday night. You're going to be in there the whole weekend until you get a court date on Monday. This is stupid, and I don't even want to do the paperwork on you for such petty stuff. But I told you my lieutenant. Why did you stick around here?' And we'd be driving. And I'd say, 'Well, it's crazy. You could have got bail if it was like a weekday.' And she's like, 'Oh yeah, I know.' And either she would jump and say, 'Well, can we work this out in some way?' Or sometimes I would say, 'Can we work this out some way?' And she'd say, 'Of course.' And we would drive off to some dark place, dark alley, whatever. She'd perform sexual favors for us and not getting arrested.
You did this to save how much money? How much was it going to cost?
It wasn't the money. It was just a thrill. The money was maybe $50. I don't know.
You did another robbery with Thor that went bad, correct?
Yeah,
Who else was there besides you and Thor?
my brother.
You saw that. I'm just going to lead you a little bit here to get through this. But you saw that there were some.
Your Honor, actually, I'm objecting to the leading.
Well, how much longer do you have of your direct?
Probably in the last half hour, Judge, 20 minutes.
All right. Maybe we can take our lunch break now, come back at 1:45.
Sure.
We'll finish up with your direct. About a half hour. You'll have some cross-examination, I imagine. We're moving along. Don't talk about the case. We'll reconvene at 1:45. All rise.
Mr. Sarkissian, just a couple of things I wanted to see if we could clarify from your direct testimony. The individual you referred to as Mousy,
Yes,
there's only one Mousy that you're talking about, correct?
correct.
And it's the same guy that was involved in the heroin that you gave the heroin to,
That's correct.
and that you went to the medical clinics with, correct?
Right.
And as far as your car goes, did you have a speakerphone in your car?
Yes.
And when you saw the individual named Homicide, before he was killed, when Taz asked you to go look for him, do you remember whether he was on foot, in a car, sitting somewhere, how he was positioned?
He was standing outside of his car talking to someone else around the corner.
And after the homicide happened and you were in the car with Boo and eBay right afterwards, did you drop everyone off from your car at the place where Moo was squatting?
Yes.
And then you went on by yourself?
Yes.
And lastly, did you have any conversations with World about the decision to sell your car?
Yes.
So what was that?
I told him that I didn't feel comfortable driving around in it, even though Abu Bakr had tried to, do damage control with the car. So he said, "Yeah, I also don't suggest that you drive around in it." And I said, "I'm going to sell it, and do you think that part of those proceeds from the sale, we could do something? Because I lost money with Taz, I want to get it back and, try to make some money here." And he said, "Yes, absolutely."
Okay, so now I'm going to pick up where we left off, which was you had done some robberies with Thor, correct?
Yes,
And was there one robbery involving PlayStations?
there was.
Can you tell the jury how that got started?
Sure. There was a newspaper back then. It was like a Craigslist. A printed version of it. It was called Loot.
Is that Loot?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I would scan the newspaper for high-priced items with intent to, show up as if I'm going to purchase it, but rob the person of the item. So I made a call. It was Sony PlayStations for sale, and back then it was around Christmas time, and there was a shortage of them. And even though in the store you could, buy one for like $100, on the secondary market they were going for like $1,000 each. So I pinpointed that ad and I said, "Let's call this guy." And I called him up and,
When you say let's, who are you referring to?
"Oh, me and Thor." So I went ahead and called the gentleman, and he answered and had me meet him at the Linden Movie Theater Complex, Movie Cineplex in the parking lot. And I went there with Thor and my brother. And the plan was because when I called the guy, he sounded very much like a thug. Like basically us at the time, with the same slang and, "What's up? You want to buy these?" "Yeah, sure." Certain things I picked up on from his accent.
And what was your conclusion from that?
I said probably this guy, maybe he stole a bunch of them. So we could actually do this thing as if we're impersonating police officers again and go ahead and use that scenario on that situation here. And when he shows me the PlayStations, come up and ask him for receipts or something and just, do what we've done with the jewelry robberies. So first I went to approach the guy.
Now I have to stop you there. Who went to the place to meet this man?
Me, Thor, and my brother.
Go ahead.
So I approached the guy alone first, and he was in the parking lot with a friend, and he showed me one PlayStation. And I'm looking at it and I said, "Okay, great. Yeah, this is brand new. Good. Good." And I'm waiting. I'm like, where is Thor? Where is my brother?
And you were expecting him to do what? Thor?
I was expecting him to approach and identify himself like a police officer.
And then what would you do?
And then I would whip out my badge. But he didn't. It didn't work out that way. For some reason, he just came up.
Who is he?
Thor approached the guy straight up, head on, and took his gun out and said,
Thor took
his gun out.
Okay.
And he said, "You know what this is?" Meaning, a robbery.
Is that a phrase that you've heard before that means a robbery?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
So I'm like, oh, all right. This is like a different plan. But I kind of went along with it where I took my gun out too and I said, okay. And I backed up and I backed off. The guy, as I'm backing off, the guy said something smart to Thor, which he didn't like. And Thor pistol whipped him.
Where did Thor hit him?
In the face.
Thor hit the man with Thor's gun?
Yeah, he had a big gun and he hit him with it. It was a heavy gun and he whacked him with it. And the guy was pretty big. He was above 6 feet tall. So I backed up and I walked off to the driver's side. To the driver door of the gentleman's car. He had a Lincoln Navigator as well. And I got in, and Thor and my brother walked off. When Thor pistol whipped the guy, his friend took off running, and the guy just stood there dazed. So my brother and Thor walked off towards my brother's car, and I jumped into the Navigator.
Can I stop you for a second? Did you all come in one car or two cars?
We came in one car.
Your brother's car?
Yeah.
All right, but you got into the man's Navigator?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
And pulled out of the parking spot. And I was around 30 feet away when he gave chase and caught up to the car and jumped onto the runner and reached into the car and grabbed at me and was grabbing toward my gun. And I swerved a little bit and I let off a shot and he fell over and I drove off.
What did you do?
I got on the service lane and then there was a highway right there. And then somebody who must have seen what happened, who was maybe a volunteer firefighter or something, who had some kind of volunteer EMS or firefighter sticker on his personal car on the side of it. And he gave chase. He actually plugged in one of the siren lights and he gave chase after me.
He started chasing you?
Yeah. I said, oh man. First I got nervous. I thought it was a real cop. So when I saw him come up, it was like a small Toyota Corolla. And I had the big Navigator. So I swerved to the right and it scared him off. And he stopped pursuit. I got on the first exit and drove to the next exit and got off. And it was a residential neighborhood. I park the car. I threw my gun into a sewer. And the Sony PlayStation, which I had touched, over somebody's garage onto the roof. And I walked until I found the first main road where there was lots of traffic. And I hailed a cab back to Queens, back to Forest Hills.
You threw away the PlayStation that you had touched. What were you concerned about?
My fingerprints on it.
Did you otherwise do anything to not leave fingerprints?
Yeah. I had gloves on after that. When I got in the car, I put them on.
So you left the car wherever you parked it?
Yeah.
And you said you got a cab?
Yes.
So where did you go?
I went to Forest Hills.
What's Forest Hills?
Oh, I went to my parents' house, so I had a place there in the basement.
What did you notice when you got to your house?
Blood on my jacket splattered on my left sleeve.
And did you speak to Thor or your brother?
Yeah. They arrived shortly afterwards.
And did you find out at some point what happened to the gentleman you shot?
Only years later, after I began proffering with the government.
And so at the time right afterwards, you didn't know what happened to him?
No.
And what did you find out had happened to that man?
I found out that he died.
Did you stay in touch with Thor after all this happened?
Not very much longer after that. No.
And how about Taz? Did you see him after that?
No.
How about World?
No.
Or eBay?
No.
What did you do with yourself after that happened?
I did a 180-degree turnaround. I just wanted to get way from that life. I wanted to cut my losses, and I got into business with my father. Actually, first, I wanted to become a police officer, a real one. So I passed the exam to become a police officer, but because of my record with the firearm back in the mid-90s, I believe, that came up, and they said no, but I scored pretty high, and they would have accepted me. So instead, my father and I went into business. We opened up a small restaurant in Forest Hills, and then a little bodega in Corona, and I built those up for about a year and a year and a half, and we sold them. And with some of the proceeds, we used it to open a small tanning salon, which I had been operating until the day of my arrest. And I also had gone on to pass the state exams to become licensed, to be an insurance broker, because my fiancé's uncle had an agency and wanted me, to participate. And I had just finished passing those too.
Who arrested you?
The FBI.
When you were arrested, did you have anything illegal?
Yes. I had some of the old pistols from back in those days. Some of the pistols I had stored in storage in my house.
Once you were arrested, were you held in jail?
Yes.
And at some point, did you decide whether to cooperate or to cooperate with the government?
Yes.
And did you attend proffer sessions?
Yes, I did.
And did you eventually plead guilty?
Yes.
Did you see any of your co-defendants in jail?
I did.
Who did you see?
I seen eBay, World, some guys that I hadn't met before Popsy, Jimbo, and Sambo. This is the first day when we got arrested. They did a sweep for the case, and there were a few faces that I wasn't familiar with. But Thor, I knew. eBay, Abu Bakr.
How about after the first day, did you see any of them?
Yeah, we had status conferences.
How about in the jail?
In the jail, no.